the recording. Okay, it's recording. So for those of you that are joining us now or listening later, I'm Charlene, the Senior Director from the overarching Team Shiny Bits of Happiness. And we just want to do a special training because I've been hearing that some of you are finding some challenges in getting design sessions booked. And we happen to have design session booker extraordinaire, Melissa Boshin, team, who's number 4 in sales right now for the whole year, for the whole company of Keep, consistently at the top in booking design sessions monthly. And she's just awesome all around. So Melissa has some tips for us. And at the end, if we've got time, which I'm sure we will, then you guys can ask some questions. I am going to go on mute and let Melissa take over from here.
Okay, ladies. Hopefully I'll be sharing some things with you that you haven't already heard or don't already know. So what I did was kind of break it down by scenario and what I do with each situation as far as booking socials. And I first want to start off by saying thank you for asking me to be a part of this. This actually helps with my severe anxiety and getting over having to talk in front of groups of people. And even though honestly, I'm in my bed right now doing this, I'm very nervous. So just bear with me. The first set of scenarios that I wanted to go over was, of course, how to book a social when you're already at a social. So one of the things I do, and probably my presentation of my socials, is just I'm very, very laid back and very reserved when it comes to my socials. So I don't do a big spiel or a big introduction. I work usually one-on-one with the people and make them feel really comfortable and relaxed. So it's not like a big to-do. It's not like a big show for my hostesses. So that way it's less intimidating for the other people that are there too, that they're not so overwhelmed or feel like they're forced to make a decision or work through something while we're there. So I kind of just set the mood as I'm here to help. I'm going to sit back, just let you guys look. I don't do any fancy table presentation or anything at my socials. And so I think that is one reason why I've been so successful at booking socials off of socials, is because the people that attend these are like, wow, she, as being the social, didn't really have to do anything, and she had, 4 to 10 people show up, and we had fun, and they created something great to take home with, or not to take home with them, but, placed an order that night to get the order in the future. And I create a very relaxed atmosphere at my InHome socials. And whenever I follow up with each person that attended the social, whether they placed an order or not, I make sure that I get their name. And then I send them a private Facebook message if they didn't place an order, and just thank them for coming and let them know that, the party closes on X day, and that I'd be, super interested in helping them find the perfect piece for themselves or for a gift. And then I also do a little plug and just say, hey, if you would like to earn some for free because maybe it's not in your budget today to support Susie's party, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to come to your home and meet with you and your friends so you can get some, some free keep. And then if they do place an order, I write a handwritten thank you to every single one of the people that place an order within 48 hours. And in that thank you, I thank them for supporting the hostess. And then my closing little tagline is, and just remember, if you're ever interested in hosting your own social, I would love to have you. And so one of the things that I'm very diligent about, just because my job is very chaotic and I have to be super organized, I live and breathe by my calendar on my phone. And so if somebody at the social seems interested, I make sure that I jot that person's name and their contact information down immediately. And then I follow up with them within 48 hours. So as you can see, maybe the key to my success is probably my follow-up and making sure that I follow through with anybody that's interested or, has questions or maybe says, yeah, I want to book a social or I might be interested. The follow-up is the key, because if you make them feel important, that they want to book a social with you and you make them feel important, like you really want them to and you want to work with them, then I have really great success with that. So I hope that makes sense, kind of like of my scenario one of, booking a social off of a social attendee. My second scenario is it just kind of depends on where I'm at. I'm usually working 2 or 3 months in advance on my social calendar. So like I already have, I think 6 or 7 socials booked for the month of December. And currently, like I really don't want any more for December. Like I'm good with that, with the holidays approaching. So I'm looking for people to book in January and February now. So my next thing is when or scenario is posting to your wall, your personal page. I don't have a group VIP page, and maybe I should, but I have success in what I'm doing now, so I haven't created the extra page to maintenance. But I just periodically post to my personal page, like maybe once every 2 or 3 days, just because I don't want to bombard, my friends with, Keep Collective all the time. But when I am soliciting or looking for hostesses, I will post something generic to my page and just say, hey, I'm looking to book 2 or 3 more socials for the month of December. And then if you're busy with the holidays and, can't book, this holiday season, I'd love to have you in January or February. So in that scenario, when I get people that like the post, I make sure that I contact and reach out to each one of those people, preferably through texting versus a Facebook message, because it's way more personal. So if I can get somebody, that's a friend of mine that I have their contact information, whenever they like or comment, I will follow up with them with a text typically and say, hey, I noticed that you liked my looking for a hostess, post on my Facebook page. Are you interested? I'd love to have you, or, some sort of leading them into hopefully them giving me an answer or, giving some sort of feedback or some way to lead
like candy in it.
them through the
grape jelly candy. You want to bite?
I think somebody's not on mute.
Yeah, somebody just joined us and is not on mute. So welcome, whoever it is, but you have to mute yourself on Zoom chats. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So basically, again, keyword follow-up. So when you've got interaction with those posts, like always following up. And I never offer the option of an online social unless they are too far for me to travel to. And for me, I'm in like Middletown, small town, Missouri. So for me, I will travel 2.5 hours to St. Louis, or I actually traveled almost 3 hours to northern Missouri for a social. And if I can get my name out in an area where it's not, like, it's beneficial for me to drive that far. However, I do make sure that the hostess has at least 6 confirmed guests. And by confirmed, it's not just said yes to the Facebook event, but that she has actually reached out to 6 people via phone or through Facebook Messenger and gotten confirmation that she will have 6 people or more that will be present to make it worth my while. So, because I know once I can get there and get in front of them, that I'm going to make, back my gas money and, my time that I've invested in it. And then hopefully be able to book at least 1 or more social off of that social because it's so new in an unfamiliar territory. So that's my little tips for my second scenario there. And then my third scenario is kind of like my own personal prospecting, I guess. Each week, I try to look at my friends list and find 5 people that either, interact occasionally with my post, or maybe I see them at a public event and they've commented on my jewelry. I'll say something about like, oh my gosh, congratulations. I saw that you were top in sales in August. That's so cool. So anybody that is basically interested, that when I go through my friends list and they kind of jog my memory, like, oh yeah, I ran into her at, the economic development meeting, and, she commented on my jewelry. I'm going to send her a message, And so I pick like 5 people each week, and I will actually text them first and foremost if I have their contact information. And if I don't, then I send them a Facebook message. But I will text them and say, hey, it was so good to see you last week at the economic development dinner. I know that, that you commented on, what I was wearing that night. Would you ever be interested in hosting a party for me? And, most of the time, well, 90% of the time, because you're having a conversation and you're not just asking them to host for you, like you're bringing up a, hey, it was good to see you, it was good to run into you, or hey, I noticed you commented or you liked my post. You're creating a conversation other than just like a blanket, hey, it's me and I'm looking for hostesses. Would you be one? You're trying to connect them to why you're asking them. So I do that at least to 5 different people a week. And sometimes all 5 will say yes. And sometimes, I might get 5 people that don't respond back to me. And I look at that, like if they don't respond when I'm trying to have just a conversation, then they're probably not the person that I want to pursue or to continue to ask to host for me. So I typically can kind of weed through those people and feel out the people that are worth maybe spending time with, or trying to build that relationship to get them to host. So when they do commit to hosting with me, I make sure that I'm super attentive to like their questions and their needs. So usually the first thing that comes up is, well, what do I have to do? And I just say, honestly, if you can think of 40 people to invite, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know 40 people. And then I say, okay, well, you don't have to know these people because not everybody's going to show up at your house. They don't have to be local. But, do you have 40 friends and family or 40 people on your friends list on Facebook that you think that would enjoy, Keep Collective? Or, and I said, and out of that, you're probably going to get maybe, 8 to 10 that might show up at your home. So I said, don't get, intimidated by it. And I said, all you have to do is provide some snacks and some drinks. And I said, so if you want to make it elaborate, great. If you don't, that's great too. So I let them know that they don't have to do a lot for them to have a successful party. It doesn't have to be a big, extravagant event. And if they've been a guest at my parties, I say, when you came to Mandy's house, that's as simple as it is, it's super laid back, and, I'll take care of everybody once you get them there. And if somebody tells me, no, now's not the right time because I'm super busy with the kids' sports schedules, and then we've got Christmas, and then we've got this going on, I say, okay, well, when would be a good time for you? And I let them pick the time. So if they say, oh, check back with me in a couple months, then I say, okay, well, then I'm going to reach back out to the first part of January, and then we can go from there. And then I set a reminder on my calendar in my phone to follow up with Jenny, on January 5th in regards to having a social in January or February. And so I make myself notes about our conversations that we've had. And so when that day arrives, that I've got some background information since I'm having, 20 to 30 of these conversations a month. So I want to make sure that I'm as prepared and set up for success when I make that phone call, instead of being like, okay, now what did you say? Or, when did you say would be a good time for you? What did you have going on? I make any notes on my calendar. And so that way I'm fully prepared. And two, when you call them and you say, hey, it's me. Remember you wanted me to call you the first part of January to get a social booked in January or February? They're going to be less likely to be like, no, I don't remember that. Or, oh, usually they're like, oh yeah, thanks for calling. I forgot about that. When you kind of call them out and hold them accountable to what they told you, and by following up, you make them feel important. So, and that you really want to spend the extra time with them. So that is my third scenario. And then my fourth scenario is looking at your customer list. So occasionally what I will do is I'll do an export, and then I sort my people through Excel and find out, who's a returning customer or who has spent X amount of dollars with me in the last 6 months or what have you. And I try to look at patterns and trends, and you can tell I come from a marketing background because, I utilize reports a lot to really maximize my business potential and to thank and reward my customers too. So when I'm looking through my customer list, I look at the people first that I know have made multiple purchases from me. So 2 or more purchases. And then I'll reach out to them. I'm saying, oh my gosh, you're really starting to build up a great collection. I'd love to help you, build or create some more pieces. Is there any way that you would, be interested in the next couple months of getting with me and, hosting a social? And usually when you tell them that you want to help them build their collection, and then of course that they can earn it for free, they're more than likely to say yes. And it's not like I strong arm them or anything. I'm just super relaxed with my approach, and I just call out the obvious, like, hey, you've spent like $300 with me in the last couple months. Like, why don't you try to have a social and see if you can at least earn your next keeper for free? Then they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And especially, like I said, if they've ever been to one of my socials, they know how laid back and relaxed it is, and how there's no pressure. It's not high, intense sales or anything like that. Then they feel comfortable inviting their friends to be in that environment. And if they say no to me, then I say, okay, fine. I'll still look forward to you being, a loyal customer. And then I thank them for being a loyal customer to me too. And then I always end it with, do you know of anybody, that has an experience keep, or that you've shared your jewelry with, or they've commented on your jewelry that maybe would be interested in hosting with me? And sometimes people are like, no, I can't think of anybody, but usually they can tell you at least one person that, they work with, or their family or their friend that has commented on their stuff. And then that gives me a new lead. So it's a new prospect. And 95% of the time I can find those people on Facebook, and I'll send them a friend request. And very rarely do people not accept, because most of the time people do know who I am from being involved in different community organizations, and I volunteer a lot. So usually people will accept, and then I'll send them just a private message and just say, hey, I know that you work with Amanda at EasyNet, and she said that you love her bracelets, and I'd love to help you if you'd ever be interested in starting your own collection. So those are kind of my 4 scenarios that
I don't know if you can see it, but because you're on your phone, but there's like this cool little thing where you can actually like press a button and it says raise your hand, and Nikki did that. So do you have a question, Nikki?
Oh, sorry.
I don't think you can see it because you're on your phone.
No, I can't.
Go
You're
ahead.
fine. I just wanted to ask you, are majority of your design sessions, are they online or are they in homes?
I would say probably 90% of mine are all in home. I don't have
Oh,
much
okay.
success with online socials.
Oh, wow. Okay. There,
Just
that was what I was wondering if I was like, wait, how are wait, are these all online or in homes? But
no,
that's
they're
really good for me to know. Okay, thank you.
yeah. I think I had 13 socials last month, and 11 of them were in home. Yeah. So I don't really offer the online opportunity to anybody that I'm not able to travel to. And like I said, I'm very well connected in my community. And so I am like the go-to person in our area for Keep Collective. And I've just built a lot of strong relationships, and I get a lot of leads and referrals from my customer base or whatever. So does that help? Okay. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yes, it does help. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then last but not least, I have like a 3 strikes and you're out type of policy. And so what that does is I come from marketing and sales background, and one way that I use to approach my customers, and then I also my latest job was in fundraising. And so asking people for money, I mean, you don't want to seem overzealous or like you're bugging people too often. So when somebody shows interest to me or says, yeah, I'd like to host, but they won't pin down a time, I reach out to them in 3 different forms of communication before I say, okay, I've exhausted my opportunity with this person. Like one way I might reach out to them is through texting. One way is maybe through a Facebook message. Maybe if I have their email, I might email, or if I have, their phone number, I might pick up the phone and actually call them. But I actually, I reach out to that person 3 times, and if I hear crickets 3 times, then that's somebody again that I'm not gonna want to invest my time or keep working towards. But instead of saying, okay, well, Susie's out, she's not interested, she's not wanting to do this, I then put Susie on a list, and that list is stored in my calendar on my phone, and in 3 months I do one last reach out because maybe she was busy. And my 3 strikes are over about a month period of time. So it's not like I'm reaching out to her 3 times in a week, and if she doesn't respond, I'm just counting her out. I give people the time to process, and you can see through Facebook Messenger if people are actually reading their message or not. So if I see that they've read it and they've not responded, then I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't the right way to reach them. So then I give it about a week, and then I'll email them or text them. And then if I don't get a response that way, then I might shoot them a text and just say, hey, I'm not trying to bug you. Just don't want you to think that I forgot about you and your interest in hosting a social. And if I still don't hear anything from them that time, then that's when they go on my follow-up and 3-month list. And I reach out to them one last time and say, hey, I'm looking to book more socials again. Didn't know if this time might work better for you or this time of year. And then, sometimes out of that, I get the, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I know I told you a long time ago I'd do it. And, but something happened, or I got busy, or it's just a wrong time. And then usually they follow through with their commitment, in their interest. So, but those are kind of my keys to success. And, the in-home social part, to me, is way easier because when you can get it in front of people, they're going to be more inclined to buy because it's something they can see and touch and create. And so I have found my personal success is driven primarily by in-home socials. And then I really want to learn on the flip side from those that have really successful online socials. I want to further develop myself in that area so that way I can have the best of both worlds. So
your sales, Melissa, are pretty indicative of the in-home, because they have statistics that show that in-homes tend to have a higher sales level than online, which I've experienced because I do both. So I think that's really important. But for everyone else that's listening, I know that a lot of people do mostly inline. I just made up a new kind of design. mostly online. But as everyone's watching this already tonight, and then if you're watching it as a replay, I would say keep in mind, if you're sitting there thinking I only do online design sessions, and I think a lot of what you said is applicable across the board.
Absolutely.
I loved what you talk about, your 3 strikes rule and following up. I love going. Yeah, I mean, just from hearing you and your strategy, it's all about the follow up for you, and that's why it's been so successful. I love the idea of following up with past customers. We've done challenges around that on our team. Following up with people that have liked your posts. I've done that before. Like when I'm looking to book some socials, I'll go back and look through some of my posts and pick out some of those people. And those people already are warm. They already like what you're doing, and they like what you had. So I think that's a great tip too. A lot of what you said is applicable, I think, for everybody. So we have about 5 minutes left, and because I don't have a paid Zoom account, so they'll shut us down here in about 5 minutes. But is there anyone that's on the call that has any questions for Melissa before we finish up? No questions? You must have covered it all, Melissa.
Oh, I doubt that. Well, if anybody has any questions that they think of after this call, feel free to message me on Facebook, or I'd be more than happy to share my phone number with anybody via Facebook Messenger. That way we can chat more intimately. But I'm always looking to grow and learn from other people too. So if you have things that you think would be helpful for me, please shoot me a message, because I'd love to hear.
Thank you so much. And I'll post the recording too. And if people have comments that weren't on tonight, they'll comment. And I know you're in that event and you're on our team page, and I put you in the small group page too. So
Awesome.
We just really appreciate your time and your expertise tonight.
Oh, well, thanks.
And I'm glad we were able to help you overcome some anxiety.
Yeah, I'm not nervous right now.
Just wait until the next time I ask you to do one for the whole team instead of just our little.
Okay. Well, that might need a little more preparation.
No, you did great. And those of you that are on the call, thank you so much for joining tonight. And I hope you guys can take 1 or 2 or 3 things that Melissa shared with us and put them into effect, and see if you can get some more design sessions booked this month.
Someone said.
All right. Go team, go.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.